Ernie, what's going on, my brother?
Hey, Rich, man. Long time no see, brother.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks, man. It's been a couple of weeks.
Everything good, man. We got another good show today. Got a couple dudes on here that used to work for the Miami Herald and the Athletic, and Manny Navarro and also Andre Fernandez. They were great high school writers and beat writers, and followed not only baseball but followed every high school sport. So they got a lot of knowledge and seen a lot of players. So we're gonna tap into them and just have them share their information and knowledge in all those years. And also we have Eric Rico. Eric played at Southwest High School, then went to Cornell University and played several years with the Toronto Blue Jays organization. And he came up with a concept in a company called Bat Club USA. And we're going to bring him on and he could talk about that. And I think it's pretty cool what he does with that. So,
Nice.
but anyways, man, let's get it rolling.
Yep, let's go. At the end of the show, maybe we can touch base with the guys on what their thoughts about last week's show, because I think it was important. And we did get a couple emails. We got the coach from Dillard sent us an email, and then that Desmond article just came out on ESPN.
Yeah.
So I think it's something we should continue talking about. But let's get these guys in here.
Absolutely.
There we go. Admit all. There they go.
Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing great, man. I'm very happy to be on with you.
Awesome. Andre, you on?
Yeah. I have to grab something to drink just in case.
There he is, Andre.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna start with Eric. Eric Rico.
Hey, what's up, man?
How you doing, buddy? Eric Rico played at Southwest, like I said earlier in the intro. Also went to Cornell University and played several years with the Toronto Blue Jays organization. Eric, we're glad to have you on, man. I talked briefly. I just mentioned the name of the company, Bat Club USA. I'm wearing their hat. Not a coincidence. He didn't.
You
give
look
it to
good.
me. I look great. I need everything to look good. I won it in a raffle, so I can't say that you gave me this. This was won in a raffle, fair and square at a golf tournament. But anyways, we want you to come on here today and talk about the concept, how you came up with it, and what it entails and how it functions.
Yeah, man. So just a little backstory, like you said, Ernie. I'm Miami-Dade, born and raised, went to Southwest. I pitched, I hit, did it all, man. Then after high school, went to Cornell, played there for 4 years. Was Ivy League Player of the Year in 2002. Got drafted as a hitter, spent my first 2 years as a hitter, and then was blessed to have a good enough arm and the ball moving all over the place that in my last 2 years, they gave me a shot as a pitcher. So, got to stay away from the real world as long as possible. But when I came back from playing, I'm like a lot of guys, your dream gets crushed. You stay away from the game for a little bit, like just kind of get on with life. And then I have my first son. And of course, the first thing we do is grab a baseball bat. We start doing all that stuff. 5 years later, he's getting ready for coach pitch. And I start looking for bats, and I see bats for my 5-year-old that are more expensive than the bats I used my senior year of college. So now I start thinking about my experience with baseball. And baseball has been great to me. My family is a baseball family. My grandfather came over from Cuba and played in the Negro Leagues in the early 50s with his brother. So baseball's in our blood, man. And then I started thinking, how does a kid that doesn't come from a lot of means like myself, whose parents had to sacrifice just to get him that $200 really nice bat, right? How do you afford a $250 bat for your 5-year-old of all things, and then travel ball and lessons and all this stuff? And just so many kids were getting priced out of the game that I absolutely love, man. So that's when the concept of Bat Club USA came into my mind. Like, how do we figure out a way to make sure everybody can have the perfect bat? Because we just found too many times people would go to a big box retailer and they would let their kid pick baseball or softball, pick whichever bat looked the prettiest. Right? So what ends up happening is just like picking your driver. If I go to play golf and I pick a driver with a shaft that's too loose and I stink at golf, but it's gonna make me even worse, right? So like kids were going and they'd get a bat that's just way too heavy for them. and then they don't hit, and they don't enjoy the game as much. Or then it's a bat that's way too light and they're ahead of everything, and they're not enjoying the game to its best. And the policy for every retailer is once you open the bat, you can't return it. So we found this spot where we could really serve the needs of the baseball community and really live out our mission of helping people find the perfect bat to give them the competitive advantage. So not the most expensive bat. So I want to be like very clear on that. You know, we don't want people just to go out and say, well, this is the most expensive bat. So Ernie, I'm sure you've seen this, the Louisville Slugger Meta for 2020. It's a $500 bat, man, but that's not the right bat for everybody. So we want to help people be able to find that perfect bat, to be able to maximize their opportunities with baseball and move from there.
Absolutely. You probably use that Green Easton, right? That's probably what you use, or the black
TPX. I'm TPX guy, man. Lou, you know, the Omaha, my senior year of college, that Omaha was good.
That's when it first came out. Probably I remember it in the early 90s. Hey, we had that Easton, the green one. Everybody used it. That thing got like 20 years, and then the Black Magic came around. And,
I have the Green Easton in my garage. I still have it.
Still have it. But anyways, Eric, so that's a great story, man. And definitely bats are expensive, ridiculously expensive. And but how does Bat Club work? Is it a membership? How does the person get started? Inform us on a little bit on that.
Absolutely, man. So the website's www.batclubusa.com. And so the structure that we have is we give people a monthly or biannual payment option where now you don't have to worry about putting all the money up front. So like a lot of our really popular bats, you know, instead of having to put $300, $350, $400 up front, you pay your first month, you pay your last month when it ships. If you don't like the bat or it's the wrong bat, we'll switch it out for you. We give you a 60 to 90 day demo period, which no one else does. You know, where if you don't like the bat, we swap it for you. You don't have to worry about it. Shipping's always included. We really want to be able to make it as simple as possible, again, to help people find that perfect bat, because we know that there's a competitive advantage to it. And I tell people all the time, if your bat speed's not there, your kid's not making contact with you, like, you know, we want to spend money on lessons and getting that right. But the equipment has a lot to do with it, man. And I mean, and it's a little nuts that you see bats that once they get labeled as hot, the retail value of the used bats goes through the roof, because people think that, oh, well, it's the equipment, it's the equipment, right? But it's got to be the right bat for you. So we want to help facilitate that as much as possible with that monthly payment structure, biannual payment, allowing people to return them. You know, we do a lot of service things that other places don't do. Like if your bat breaks, we pay for your warranty shipping, or we just switch it out for you. So that way, instead of having to wait 4 to 6 weeks, we get it to you in 2 to 3 days normally. Nice. So again, we just want to make it as simple as possible to keep your kid having that competitive advantage.
But you guys got other services too, because I heard you talk about, hey, we have mental training and we also have video of, analysis on swings. Mm-hmm. You just don't sell bats, man. Come on, give me the info.
All right, so that's the bread and butter. We do bats, we do gloves. Like, again, we want people to have the perfect equipment, but I'm constantly looking at ways to add value for our members. So one of the things that's actually happening right now, when a really great friend of mine, again, the connections baseball gives you, his name's Sean Larkin. He's the assistant field coordinator for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and also has a company on the side called Adapt that focuses on the mental aspect of baseball. So he does mental skills training. He has a curriculum put together. So right now, if you're with it and it's live, if he comes to your school and does this training, it's $150 for the work group. We give essentially that same content for $5 a month that our members can add on. Bat Club USA specific deal to get access to someone like Sean, who's a decision maker in a high level major league organization. Yeah, because he's one of the people that decides if you go from single A, double A, and so on and so on. So, getting access to someone like that can give you a good foundation on the mental side of baseball, because they say all the time baseball is 90% mental, 10% physical, but we never practice the mental. So we have an opportunity there to add value for our members. We have a training program coming through with this company called Iron Ore Fitness. So now think of it as P90X for your kid, another add-on for your Bat Club USA members. Then the third thing is we've started partnering with Blast Motion. So we're going to be able to offer remote coaching to our members. So people with great expertise that you may not get access to in other parts of the country, now you can get feedback from that person. So it's another perk of being part of Bat Club USA, where I'm just constantly looking to add value, man. Like, baseball's expensive enough. We want people to enjoy the game, to love the game, to kids to grow up and get all the awesome doors that were opened up for me. I mean, my business partner, co-founder, Oscar Llarena, one of my best friends since kindergarten. But what kept us friends? We played high school baseball together.
Yeah.
The four other guys that I hang out with all the time, right? Guys that I played baseball together. Those are my best friends in the world. You know, it opens so many doors for me. So I want to be able to help facilitate that for other people too.
Man, Eric, that's great, man. I know we said we're going to talk for 15 minutes, man. I feel like we could talk about this for the entire session, but we got two other guests on here, man. If you want to hang out and stay with us, feel free. If you got to move on, man, go ahead and feel free to. But thank you. That's batclubusa.com, correct?
Yes,
and
sir.
All the membership information's on there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, at batclubusa.com, you'll find all the info there. And yeah, I appreciate you. I'm sorry, Ernie, I do got to run, man, but thank you for having me. I appreciate it, brother.
No, thank you, man. We'll probably have you another time, and you could expand a little bit and even have Sean Larkin on here if you want. I would love that.
Hey, listen. Absolutely. I know he would absolutely love it, man. So you just let me know. And, Rich, Ernie, sure. Just holla at me and we'll get them on.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Eric. Have a great night, brother.
All right, guys. See ya.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hey, man, that's a tremendous concept, man. I love it, I mean, spending $500 on a bat here, you're paying a member, you could switch the bat. I mean, I couldn't hit, so it doesn't really wouldn't help me.
Hey, my daughter is going into her senior year playing softball.
And he's got softball bats, too.
I heard.
It's softball and baseball. So
you know what? Hey, the last time I bought her a bat, she was turning 12.
Gotcha.
She used it maybe for 2 weeks. And it was like a $350 bat, and it was too small, and she ended up giving it away. So
wow. Well, listen, man.
Since then,
we got a treat today, man. We got two guys on here, Manny Navarro and Andre Fernandez, that have witnessed high school sports for close to 20 years, if I'm not mistaken, at least here in South Florida. I might be exaggerating, but anyways, we have these two guys on that seen a lot of baseball. Okay, so Andre and Manny, thank you for joining us, guys. And I want to start with you, Manny, because I think you're the elder statesman here, because I think you trained Andre, didn't you?
I did. I met Andre in 1999 at the Miami Herald. He came in as a guy who was going to school at UM. I was finishing up at FIU, and I trained
Actually,
him.
Miami-Dade before UM.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so Andre came in, and I started to show him the ropes, and I took over the high school beat right around 99 from Pedro Fontaboa for the Miami Herald. And I did the high schools for about 7 years. And I left Andre in charge, man. He took the reins from me, and he kicked ass. He covered some great era of baseball, football, all the great sports in South Florida. And but me, my origins actually start with baseball, man. Of all the sports that I've covered, I've gone on to cover, college football, college basketball, Final Fours, World Series, Super Bowls, NBA Finals, all these different things. I covered the Miami Heat for 3 years. I'm now covering the Hurricanes again for the Athletic. But baseball is where it all started for me, man. I grew up playing at West Kendall Optimist, moved on to Tamiami Park. I played with guys like Manny Crespo and guys who went on to become minor leaguers, major leaguers. I was good enough to play on a few travel teams, but I went to Braddock at the wrong time, man. I was trying to play third base when they had a guy who was the hitter of the year in Dade County and made the 1 year Braddock, I remember, made state in 94. I was a freshman trying to make the team, and I just couldn't make the team. And it led me to this. It led me to journalism. That's how I got involved in all this. But I was Little League umpire after I gave up playing, and baseball's always been in my blood, man. Covering the Marlins for 7 years was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man. How about you, Andre? How did you get your start in this crazy world of sports?
Well, it was basically, like Manny said, I was at Miami-Dade in '99, and I just always, it always fascinated me to be around the game. I mean, I played a little basketball. I didn't get as far as Manny, but I played a little basketball, played a little baseball, dabbled in everything, like in elementary and high school. yeah, as you guys know, I went to Champagnat, but I went before Champagnat. You know, even really had too many sports. You know, they don't have that many sports even now, but they didn't. They barely did back then. Now all of a sudden they're a football powerhouse. But anyway, it was from there. You know, just learning through, you know, covering games and going out and I remember the first time that I got to do this was that I got to go to a state tournament was with Manny, actually, helping him out, was when Hialeah and Southridge, actually no, not Hialeah and Southridge, Hialeah and Columbus were in the semifinal in the early 2000s. I think it was the year that Columbus won it all with Jojo Gutierrez and those guys in 03 up at Legends Field. And then, you know, from there, you know, little by little, just covering every year. I mean, once I took over, I got to see those teams both in Dayton and Broward. Like, you know, Pace was good at the time. They won a state title, I think, in 06. You know, the years that Flanagan won a couple up there also. You know, even got to see Jose Fernandez pitch for Alonzo.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we saw Ernie win a championship too.
We saw Ernie win a couple championships too. I mean, that's how this friendship begins, even from back then, of course. But yeah, like, you know. Yeah.
I don't think it was ever going to happen, to be honest with you.
Well, you kept knocking on the door, and you finally kicked it in that one.
My gosh. Listen, we went, at La Progresiva in 91, we went, and then in 96 with Day Christian, and then with Florida Christian, we went 6 years in a row from 2001 to 2006. And it was like, you can't, you know, and then finally 2004, we broke through, and it was incredible. But I remember you guys there. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, and then from there, like I always tell Manny, even now, you know, they recently, you know, when I was working for the Athletic until recently, they had me doing the Heat. But like I always tell Manny, like baseball, I really fell in love with just covering the sport. You know, I got the chance to cover the Marlins the last 4 seasons, you know, starting in 16 when I was still at the Herald, and then for the Athletic, you know, and I was there the final season. Speaking of Jose Fernandez, you know, when he died, and then, you know, I covered everything that happened before and, you know, and after when they got back to play, that, you know, the night when D. Gordon hit the home run, and, you know, just everything going on with, you know, that happened later on. But like I told Manny all the time, I'm like, I still miss covering baseball, man. I love, you know, whichever level. It doesn't even matter if it's high school, pro, you know, college, just being out there around the game. And I've embraced, even like, you know, just in recent years, the way that you dive now into the analytics and you kind of like dissect the game a little bit more. It's all interesting. So that's, you know, basically to me, it's still my favorite sport to cover of all the events that I have over the years.
Dre, you went to CWS, didn't you? Did you go to Omaha for me that 1 year?
Actually went when UM was ranked number 1. It was in 08, and they lost. They ended up losing 2 out of 3. They got bounced, you know, pretty much early. They beat FSU, but they got bounced early. It was the game where they played Georgia in the first round, and I think it was Carlos Gutierrez, or who was the pitcher? I think he threw the ball away in the 9th inning, like in the right field.
I don't remember.
Georgia scored, and then that was it. And then they were in the whole losers bracket. They couldn't dig their way out of it. But the experience, though, I mean, they put me on a plane like almost one day to the next. I was filling in for Mike. Remember Mike Phillips? They used to be the high school guy.
Yeah.
He got something. I think he got sick or something happened. And Bill Van Smith is the one that calls me, and he's like, "You still want to go to Omaha?" I was like, "Yeah." So next thing you know, I'm on a plane to Chicago, then to Omaha, and I'm covering the College World Series. And I remember how the town just completely revolves around the event. Everything is, you know, the bars, the restaurants, like it's really cool out there. I haven't seen the stadium because that was in 08, but
it must be a cool situation. Rich, I told you we only bring people that are celebrities on this show. See, I know we never fail. These 2 guys have been all over the place. Quick question, guys. In your covering, and I know you guys covered a lot of state championship football teams, and I know football here in South Florida has been king for many years, but we've had a lot of great baseball programs come out not only of Dade County, but Broward County and West Palm Beach County as well. What is the team, I guess the strongest team that you guys remember coming out of Dade County or South Florida in general that won a state championship?
I mean, there's so many good ones. I mean, I remember those legendary Southridge teams back in the day when they just so talented and they just couldn't kind of get over the top and win championships. but they were so good. I mean, I would say probably those McCarthy teams that won they won 3 or 4 in a row, right? I mean, that was kind of a great decade.
More than that.
Yeah.
Wasn't it 4 straight or 5 or close?
I think
to 5
they won 4 straight, then they didn't go to next year, and then they went the following or something of that nature.
Yeah. I think those McCarthy teams were probably the most loaded. I mean, Westminster Christian with Rich Hoffman. I mean, those legendary teams as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
you didn't cover those.
No. But I knew of them. I knew of them because I was growing up playing with those guys, you know, and I knew of them going to that level. So, I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, what's the greatest team you've ever seen, Andre? The greatest baseball team?
I mean, this is the thing, though, and this was always pretty much the case for me, like every year. I always felt like there was always this super team that I was impressed with, and then all of a sudden, then you'd hear, you know, we'd get the phone call at the office, hey, did you hear Pace lost? And I'm like,
in the district semifinals or something.
Or
right?
not, or Columbus lost in the district round to Southwest or something on a year that they were like 30-1, and you're like, no way. Like, there's always seemed to be like this super team, but then it was hard to make it gel, to make it come together, to make the talent translate on a long playoff run. And there's teams that still stand out to this day that were more the kind of get hot at the end Cinderella type. Like one that was fun to cover a few years ago was South Dade when they won it, when they had the Manoas. And I mean, the run that kid by him really like on the mount went on, but just the team itself caught fire. They got all the way, you know. But yeah, I mean, as far as dominant that really did pull it off, I mean, yeah, not to repeat, but McCarthy stands out for sure. But I think there was a lot of these teams that in recent years were just fun to watch because it's kind of like everything just clicked. And then late in the season, they just went on this big run. And even if their record was 20-10, but that team just like was fun to watch those Cinderella playoff runs.
By the way, Ralph's going to be offended you didn't say any Brito teams.
Oh my god!
Well, I don't know if Brito had like too many Cinderella teams, but they the thing is too. Yeah, well, Ernie asked ones that I personally covered.
Yeah,
I didn't get Brito's early years. I think I might have covered. Actually, I think I might have covered Brito's titles when he wasn't there anymore, and when they had Guerra coaching and
Fanshaw won 1 or 2 there.
Yeah, Fanshaw was there, Pedro Guerra, and also Laz Frendora.
Exactly. Yeah, those are the ones. I mean, I remember, you know, like the year that Gulliver finally won, you know, when they had Laser there, you know, again, the talent has always been throughout the county. Like I remember getting the ballot, not the ballots, the preseason stuff, and it was always hard to put it into some sort of ranking because there was always kids and there was always it seemed like every form had this guy signed here, this guy signed here, this guy signed here, and I'm like, you know, how do you do that? How do you sort it out?
I don't know how you guys were able to do that in the preview because there was years that you know you had three or four teams that are like, you know, only, you know, you're splitting hairs and stuff, and then you would give the benefit of the doubt to they're playing in a higher classification or what have you. But I definitely didn't envy your job, guys. All right, put you on the spot. Best high school player you guys have ever seen covering high school baseball while you guys are covered and during your tenure.
Wow.
And don't tell me the highest draft pick because I want you the best multi.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of
while in high school though, Ernie. While in high school. Panned out to be
while they were in high school.
Wow. Right. That's what makes it tougher because
I honestly, and I'm not just saying this because he's in the majors now, but I think every time Gio Gonzalez pitched, when I saw him pitch, I thought this guy's going to win. Like he just and he didn't have over-dominating stuff in terms of where he was striking guys out left and right, but he was just – every time he went out there, you're like, this guy's going to win the game. He's going to figure out how to win the game. And he won at Hialeah, then he goes to Pace, and he won there too. So Gio always sticks out in my mind as far as a pitcher's concerned. And then as far as a hitter, Pace, I'm forgetting his name now. He got drafted by the Red Sox. Was it Marrero, the hitter for Pace? He was the home run record. Yes,
Marrero. Yeah, but
Devin Marrero. No, not Devin Marrero.
No, not Devin. Devin's their
not
cousin.
Devin.
I forgot his first name. Yeah, I know you're the guy who said the
Chris?
home run.
It might have been Chris Marrero. It might have been Chris Marrero. Yeah.
But are you guys sure? Because that year, I remember that there was a young man. Marrero was playing third, and Adrian, and I'm forgetting his last name, was playing shortstop.
Right. It's Adrian Cardenas. That's what it was.
Cardenas. And Adrian Cardenas hit more home runs than Marrero.
It
And
was.
then,
I knew it was one of those two from Pace. I was trying to remember the name, and it kept escaping me. Yeah.
Cardenas,
Was a better player. Yeah.
Well, put better numbers, but nobody knew about Cardenas as much as everybody came to see Marrero. Marrero wasn't present, and Cardenas just came out and hit a ton of home runs. I don't know exactly how many he hit that year.
Did
but
that
then
Pace team win it? I forgot if they was that one of the few that actually
I
finished
don't
the
know.
job, or
I think that was 2006. I think Pace finally won it again that year when they
right?
made, and I had just gotten off the high school beat at that point because I was starting to cover other things. I think I joined the Marlins beat at that point. But I remember covering that team in the beginning of the year, and then him going on that run where he was hitting all those home runs. But between Marrero and Cardenas, they had a great. I mean, it was
And then Marrero's brother played right field too. He's a pretty good ball player too. So they were pretty stacked. So, but yeah, I remember. And then I think they had 2 first-rounders. Cardenas was a sandwich pick, I believe, with the Oakland A's, and then Cardenas got drafted, I think, White Sox, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Cardenas looked up, and he became he got his degree, and he ended up writing a very interesting piece. I don't know if you guys have read it. Cardenas did. We've got to have he went to
as a writer.
Yeah, I can't remember what university he went to, but he ended up writing about his story about his anxiety in the game and why he left the game. And that's him.
And I did hear, and I also know that he was a tremendous pianist, very good. That's what he would do on his free time. So definitely talented. Would love to have him on the show. So those 2 guys. So you guys have totally left Manny Machado off the list.
I was going to say,
I didn't cover.
Here's the thing.
You said I covered. Did I cover him? I didn't cover Manny Machado.
I don't know, but Dre did. Dre did.
Yeah, I covered. You didn't want to go with a guy with a number 3 overall pick necessarily, but yeah, I mean, he was amazing, and I remember talking to him at that park on 37th Avenue where Brito used to have to practice and whatnot, and we did like a whole interview on him that year.
Douglas Park.
Douglas Park, right.
Yeah.
And, him, but you know who? The one that I had a lot more hopes for that hasn't made it or didn't make it was David Thompson. He was an athlete of the year, versatile athlete at Westminster, and that guy would hit a ton, like as a hitter. Maybe, I don't know, maybe defensively not as much, but as a hitter, he was –
he was phenomenal. Very.
He was half and half BBCOR, wasn't he? Didn't he play towards the end?
Yeah.
I think he played 2 seasons without BBCOR, and then he played 2 with BBCOR, I believe.
Yeah.
Wow.
His career was during that time where the switch was made. Yeah, I remember that.
Wow, that's a good observation. I know he did. He did a great job at University of Miami as well.
Right. And then he got to the minors, but that was pretty much it. I mean, but he was a guy who we saw the athletic background he had too. I mean, 3 sports star. He was athlete of the year for us a couple times. That's another one. I mean, we've seen there's so many good ones, man. I know we're forgetting them because I don't have them readily available, and I've covered so many people now that I forget names. That's why, I remember one name. I might remember the last name, but I don't even remember the first name. So many Nick Castellanos too is another one at Flanagan that was on during our time too.
No, Nick Castellanos went to McCarthy.
Or McCarthy. He was at Flanagan first. Maybe that's why.
First, and then he went to McCarthy.
Wasn't Andino on that 2000 Southbridge team that lost to
Yep. I covered that championship game. It's still one of the greatest championship games I remember being at. I mean, just an all-Dade and all Miami-Dade final. I mean, I don't know how many times that's happened overall, but I think that was the first or second time that had ever happened.
Well, here's one that Manny covered more than me, but remember the other pitcher from Hialeah that didn't make it like Gio did, but the Cuban kid, Camilo Vasquez.
Yeah, very dominant. He went to FIU, right?
I think so.
I believe so. He was the left-hander, right? Correct? If I'm not mistaken.
That was a heck of a combo they had.
Yeah. Both lefties, and both of them are very tough. Gio is Gio, and he did what he did, and he just had tremendous mount presence and an attitude about him that he came out and was going to take care of business, Yep. But there's, like you said, man, a lot of great players have come out of here. The thing with Manny Machado is that, people say, well, he only played at Brito, but he put up numbers, and as he went to all these other places and the senior all-star game, and he still hit and showcased, and he still put up numbers, and that's a sign of a good hitter because he adjusted to everything. And obviously, the proof is in the pudding. But obviously, we've had a lot of great guys come out of our area. High school baseball, how it was before, okay, till now. I want you guys to give me a comparable to what you've seen in the past to what you're seeing now. and how can you put that into words, I guess?
Well, I feel like the biggest thing to me that changed with high school sports when I was covering it was it really turned into the era of free agency where kids were just jumping, from school to school. I think in the beginning when I first started to cover it, you had kids that would stay with a coach for 2, 3, 4 years, sort of develop with them, want to be around their teammates. And then towards the end, it became this high school free agency where, everybody was kind of going wherever the championship teams were winning. And that's kind of what the biggest thing that changed for me. I thought the quality of play continued to be at a high level from beginning to end. The quality of play never changed. I think just the attitudes of kids and unfortunately, sometimes parents thinking that, hey, my kid's a estrellita, right? He's the estrellita, so he can't play. You're not playing him. I need to take him out and I need to put him somewhere else. And I think that became much more prevalent as time went on. And to be honest with you, Ernie, I haven't been to a high school game in a few years now. I can't remember the last time I went. I think it might have been the early part of the 2010s. But to me, I still enjoy just going out there and seeing the camaraderie between the kids and the coaches, because I feel like once those guys find a home and they find a good place, it's pretty special that relationship that those kids have with one another, wanting to win and competing. In fact, now I remember the last time I covered was a McCarthy game. I think it was like 2014 or something like that. So, but to me, I love high school baseball. It's my favorite high school sport, to be honest. As much as football is great and you got the marching band, I'm a baseball guy at heart, like I told you. So right. I just wish the free agency thing kind of ended and that parents would kind of be honest with their kids and say, hey, listen, you're a good player, but you're not as good as this other guy. You got to wait your turn to play versus, hey, let's jump and transfer somewhere else and play, because that's the way, guys just sort of expect things to be now.
I mean, I'm not like, I'm a little less removed from it, not as far back as Manny has, but I still haven't been doing it the last couple of years. But to his point, I think we're specifically talking about baseball, but I've seen that to be the case in every sport now. And I think because baseball, just in itself, the game itself can create a little more parity, it helps to a point. But I think you're losing that too, because like you said, you flock to the superstar teams, and you can tell even from the beginning of the season, only a handful, if that, are really good, able to compete. And then I know kids want to get recruited. Obviously, kids want to sign, but you're losing, like what Manny was talking about, you're losing sort of that school pride sense too. If you're just going, if you're playing a career, whether it's baseball or football, wherever, and you've been to 7 schools in 4 years. Even recently, like before I left, it got mind-boggling to the point where I was like, we're going to have our first all-county kid that's going to be all-day, track in one school, and then he's going to be all-day football in another school within the same year.
Wow.
So it's like, and I'm like, what do I announce him as at the podium? / this school / that school? Like, what do you?
Yeah, that could have happened. It could happen in three sports where he could have played. Right. Yeah, because even if it's a good athlete, he could have done that. But that's where it got to. But I think disappearing. I think there's more schools too. There's more schools too now than before. I mean, you got more charter schools opening up. You got more private schools. You got more public schools being built. So definitely, I don't want to say it's watered down, but the players are spread out a little bit more. And I think
the 3-sport or multi-sport athlete is disappearing. It has been already for a few years. Like, you don't see it as much as before. The kids will play one thing, but they don't, play another thing. I mean, I guess you would know more from like a coach's perspective. Like, did you always feel that was better to have that other sport background that made a kid more, that made a kid better? I mean, or did it just
honestly, with obviously as a coach, you want to be selfish. I mean, you tend to be selfish, just because you want what's best for your team. But when I was at Florida Christian, it was being a small school. I had a handful of kids that played football. But my question to them was, have you ever played football before? Because if you played Optimus football growing up and, you played, okay. But if you've never played football, you can't step on the field and be effective. And then specifically depending on the talent level, that the quality of the player on the baseball field. Because if you have a chance to, to get a baseball scholarship, why would you risk the chance of getting hurt if you've never played? So, but we've had a handful of guys that have played football and have were adequate football players, but ended up playing baseball and getting scholarships. But to that, I say it was based on the individual, I guess, was the way that we had to handle that. But being a small school, definitely you always need athletes to play multiple sports. But basketball and baseball weren't a good mix because they kind of overlap. So football and baseball made a lot of sense. But anyways, how about you, Rich? Did you ever have that situation?
I'm a big guy on play as many sports as possible. I mean, for a couple of reasons. A, because the wear and tear on a baseball player on their arm, you look at all these cold weather places in the United States that the kids play whatever's in season, albeit hockey, football, basketball, and they seem to last longer. That's why nobody really wants pitchers from South Florida, from these warm weather states, because they've thrown so much. They're at it 12 months a year. So I've always encouraged my kids, my baseball guys, to play other sports if they were adept at them. Like you said, Ernie, not just to go out there and try out for a team that they've never played, but if you're an AA basketball player and you've played your entire life, why not? Do it. This is high school, buddy. You get to be a varsity athlete in 2 or 3 sports. This is the time of your life. If you're good enough at baseball, trust me, you're going to be good enough by the time you're out of here. And I think that having those conversations, even with promoting that, a lot of times the kids come back and say, hey, no, coach, I just want to focus on one thing. I just want to focus on one thing. And then I've had kids come back 2-3 years later after graduation that they are playing college baseball right now. They're like, damn, coach, I wish I would have listened. I wish I would have went and played badminton or basketball like you told me to. I'm like, man, you were good enough to play baseball already. You were good enough. Your grades were there, and you had what it took already. Why not do something else? That way when you get out of high school, you turn around and say, wow, what a ride. And I think this whole shortened season speaks to the point that Manny was talking about the jumpers and bouncing around. And look, some guys got 9 games in, some guys got 7 games in. If you were one of those jumpers, what did you really get? Whereas a guy that's been at the same school for 4 years, you know what? He could turn around and say, hey, man, this year got cut short, but I had a hell of a ride with my teammates, with my school, with my teachers, and I'm going to remember this instead of like, damn, I transferred over here. I didn't get to do anything.
Definitely.
Me, it's a weird scenario,
Definitely. Manny and Andre, biggest surprise of a high school baseball player that made it to the big leagues, that you saw him in high school and you said, man, but then all of a sudden just blossomed and he was in the big leagues from down here. Do you have a recollection of anybody in that situation?
It's a good question, Ernie. I'm trying to think of one that
working on this all night, apparently.
Yeah.
Hey, this is the only show I was prepared.
Yeah, you were. He was ready. He just didn't give us the questions ahead of time. So now we're scrambling through our memory banks here, trying to see if the computer still works. There was a kid from Ransom, a relief pitcher.
Otero.
Daniel Otero.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who I thought to myself, wait a minute, there's a kid from Ransom in the major leagues? How did this happen?
Wait, there was two playing in the big leagues.
Yeah.
From Ransom. Okay, 2 got to the big leagues.
Yeah, I was surprised by that because they were never a program that really – I mean, they had some good players here and there. They'd always have a kid who could make all day. But to put guys in the big league, that was kind of surprising. I was covering baseball, the Marlins at the time, from about 2007 to 2014. I remember, you always look for that local angle, right? Oh, who's somebody who might have come from South Florida that's playing the Marlins tonight? And I looked through them and was like, Ransom Everglades? Really? Like, how did this happen? And that was definitely one that surprised me.
Yeah, he was a pretty good player, man. Pretty good athlete. And then I think he went to Duke, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Went through Duke.
He went to Duke. I mean, very smart. Obviously, viewed at Ransom. And then they had another guy that got to the big leagues as a reliever too, and I'm drawing a blank on his name too. But I know they both played for Woody over there. That's when Woody, I talked about him the other day. But anyways, he had both those guys, and they were like 2 or 3 years apart or something of that nature. How about you, Dre?
You got me stumped, man. I'm like looking through now, and I keep thinking of people, and I'm like, okay, maybe not. I kind of expected him.
Ernie, did you coach Frankie Bartow when you were at Terra? Did you?
Frankie
Bartow's a good name. Yeah.
Frankie Bartow pitched for us at Terra that one year I was at Terra. He was a senior. He was Quite
I just thought of
quite
somebody.
quite a talent and character. Love that kid. Go ahead, Dre.
I just thought of somebody that made it to the majors, although he hasn't. I think he's still in the minors, and he got to the majors recently, and he pitched for the Yankees for a little bit. In fact, he pitched for the Yankees against the Marlins. Johnny Barbado from Varela.
Okay.
And I think he's still, if I'm not mistaken, he might still be in the minors somewhere, but I'd have to look it up. But I remember interviewing him when they came to Marlins Park, and he kind of took one of those under the radar paths, to make it to the majors. And good story. The kid, again, at a program that's not a a real baseball powerhouse, but still, the kid, pitched his way up.
But those are great stories. I mean, I know that if I think I could be wrong, but I think he only won one game his senior year, but his ERA was like under 1.5 or something ridiculous like
That's
that.
what I mean. Like it was one of those teams that they were like really bad. Like Varela was really bad. I remember the record was maybe like I don't know if they even won 5 games that year or something crazy. But yeah, he was lights out. But then they pulled him, and that's all they had.
Yeah, the last I heard, and because I'm Facebook friends with his dad, and I think he pitched in Japan 2 years ago, and I think I don't know if he's trying. I don't know what the status is of him, but yeah, he was impressive at the senior All-Star game. I remember his senior year, and but yeah, man, those are 2 great ones. Another guy is Cortez, Nestor Cortez. From Hialeah, he's in the big leagues, man, and he was a good high school player, but he's fought through the ranks there, man, and he got to the big leagues, and those are the stories that you love to hear, and
there's a lot of them,
there's a lot of them that obviously are escaping our mind right now, but
and people don't realize too, like people get caught up in the guys that are still in the majors, but it's really hard to even get a taste of it. Like even if you get there and you pitch 5 innings, if you pitch 2 innings, like people don't realize how many levels you have to get through and get over just to get that opportunity. Even if you make 1 appearance in the major leagues, like you went a lot farther than thousands of kids ever did.
I'll give you the example. I started coaching high school baseball in 1990, and had a ton of players play for me, and I've only had one get to the big leagues and was up and down. That's Ryan Jackson. Nobody else. And I had Deshaun Watson, and I had Ricky Orta, and I had several players like that were second round picks. Denny Almonte, who was a second round pick, and it's tough, man. And those were great high school players and great college players, but you got to stay healthy. You got to have luck, and you can't have a guy in front of you that's, for example, our Kenny Perez, who's now the coach at Ransom. Kenny Perez got drafted by the Red Sox his senior year, somewhere in the teens, and he got up to AAA. And I talked to him. He works out at the same gym I work out. He goes, "There's no way I was going to get to the big leagues. Hanley Ramirez was in front of me." So you got to have luck too. So there's other things, other intangible things that have to take place, but definitely, man. Rich, any questions, man? I'm gonna let you ask some questions here.
Oh man, I'm just having fun listening, man. It was a lot of fun listening to the guys and that insight and covering. Manny and I, we played it almost in the same era because I was at Southbridge from '92 to '96. So I remember a lot of that stuff in person.
Do you remember the name of the third baseman at Braddock? That was I remember he was all county, and there was no way I was going to unseat him at third base. I was a third baseman. I can't remember his name.
I don't, but I know someone who will remember him.
Okay, yeah. I can't remember him now all these years later, 25 years later, but he was a beast. And I remember Willie Lopez telling me, he's like, "Yeah, you better look for a new position, bro."
That's an interesting conversation in and of itself. How a lot of people are pigeonholed these days as far as a position. Kids, that also is one of the reasons for a lot of the bouncing around is where a kid comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm a third baseman," or "Hey, I play second." Well, Bubba, look who's standing at second. This guy's been committed to the Division I university since 9th grade. What do you feel about center field? "Oh no, I'm not an outfielder," and then they're gone.
Yeah.
I've had that I've had that situation a few times, being told, no, I only play this. And to me, that's ludicrous. You know, with my own kids raising them, I just make them play a different position every year. So
Right.
you don't know who's going to be there by the time you move up. You don't know how big you're going to be, and you don't know who's coming in. So the more positions you can play, the better you understand the game, and more marketable you are for a coach. Hey, I need a left fielder. I'm in. Hey,
Right.
you know.
And you never know. Then it could be an injury to, you know, that superstar guy, and then your turn is called, and then that's your shot. You know, I mean, you got to be ready too.
Ernie pulled one of his Houdini tricks on us. I think he was trying to. There he is. Look at that.
He's back.
Yeah, he is. I think he was trying to feed the dog or get some more Splenda in his monster, and all of a sudden, Ernie, are you back?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. It's I don't know. My phone, I don't know. It's acting up. So
we're starting to go funny to get you a laptop. A laptop, a green screen behind you.
Laptops for like
a battery pack and at least 2 weeks worth of Ensure. That way,
laptops Ensure. No, I'll go. You know what? That's an old joke. I don't appreciate that.
I love baseball though, man, and like Andre, I wish I could be around it more often. You know, the Marlins, unfortunately, they're just not one of those franchises that draws a whole lot of readership for either of us. And but I have some great Marlins memories. I mean, I was on the field. I remember that first playoff series between the Marlins and Giants in 2003. And, you know, the play at the plate, JT Snow, Pudge, the collision.
Wow.
And I literally ran out onto the field with other photographers and started interviewing players as soon as that was over. And that's like one of my rock star memories of being involved with baseball, man, of being there for one of the greatest moments of all time and being a reporter for that. It was so cool. What's yours, Ernie? I mean, you've been around this thing so long. I'm interested. Where you've been in some good places, man.
Man, you know, I do the interviews, not you. This is not your show. It's my show.
I was just asking. I
was waiting for that.
Legend. You're the legend, man.
When I asked the question, I was like, "Uh-oh, he's gonna get."
No, man, I just been blessed, man. I had the takeaway that I take from this is all these kids that have impacted my life, and I've been able to be part of their lives. That I still talk to them. And they call me and they talk to me and send me text messages, man. That I think to me that's the biggest reward that I have. And yeah, I've been involved in some great baseball games and some great battles with some special people that have gone on to become not baseball players, man, but productive citizens and doctors and lawyers and police officers and firemen. And just like impacting the community, man. To me, that's the biggest takeaway that I get, to be honest with you, with that. And funny story, because I don't know if you guys remember AJ Salcinas that pitched for me, then pitched at University of Miami. It was Brian Radzewski and AJ Salcinas. Those were the two combos there. And you know, he goes to UM, he pitches 4 years there, and then he says, "I'm done with baseball." I go, "What do you do?" I'm got my degree. He got 1 B in his all 4 years at Miami. He got 1 B, and I go, "You took too much time in that one class." But anyways, he goes on and said, "You know, I'm going to pursue my dream, and my dream is I want to go to dentistry school." So he goes on and he applies to 13 colleges and gets into all of them and goes to Harvard. So he goes and he gets his whatever degree from dentistry in Harvard. Then I talked to him and I told him, "Hey, listen, I'm not gonna call you doctor." He goes, "No, you could call me whatever you want, coach. I don't care." But so what's the plan now? He goes, "Nah, I'm not gonna work yet. I'm gonna go to I want to be a surgeon. I want to be an oral surgeon." So I go, "So what now?" He goes, "I just got into Cornell. I'm gonna do that." So he's about almost done. And to me, that's like, holy cow, that kid played for me. And now he said, "I want to be the best oral surgeon in the country," the people that come to me. So like that, I have stories and guys that are coaching now that I'm proud of, that are coaching, in high school and college. And I think that's the greatest enjoyment from all this, man. And yeah, we've won a couple of state championships, and yeah, I've been part of USA Baseball, but those moments fleet, they disappear. But the impact that those kids had on us and they're making, man, that's priceless.
Heck, I'd like to have the guys come out, even if it's not in person or maybe a Zoom to talk to the kids at the high school about doing what you guys do, you know, about the journalism side of it and how fun it can be and how exciting it can be. Because I know Gables has a good program and we do as well, but
Yeah.
you know, everyone's always trying to bring in these athletes and all these other people to talk to kids. But I think it'd be great to have you guys talk to them and just hear your vantage point and how fulfilling it can be and how fun it can be.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think it's great what you guys have done, you know, obviously with this podcast, having a baseball podcast locally, talking about local baseball because it feels like an underserved area. And then the website, everything, you know, with Miami-Dade and Palm Beach and Broward, those websites that developed. I remember, Andre, you and I were kind of stunned when we saw the growth, you know, all these teams finally putting up their team pages, their stats. It was so important because there was only so much you and I could do.
No,
and then once we moved on to the college and pro beats, it's like we left it behind, and unfortunately, it didn't. You know, the great tradition we had to cover high schools kind of fell apart at the Herald.
Right.
Yeah.
And in fairness, you know, in fairness to the Herald, it's just the way the industry became. Like, no newspaper had the people to sit there like we used to when we started, and tabulate stats or be on the phones getting them from coaches, like doing all that kind of thing. You know, so doing it this way, that was the whole thing. It was impressive to see how not just that they had them, but how up to date, you know, you had coaches engaging and keeping everything, you know, the standings and stuff like that, you know, and it was good because you could finally follow it in a way that was similar to like when you want to follow Major League Baseball and you want to know how many games behind the team was in the division. Now you could see, you know, District 15, 8A, where it's at. And it's, you know, if not up, it was almost always up to the minute or to that day before. You know?
Yeah, HSBN has done a tremendous job, man. And they first started in Broward and then went to Miami-Dade and it's boomed and it's expanded. And what the coaches, man, all we do is just call in the score and you know, through an app that they have. And then also the other thing that's cool is that where was it going with this? Anyways,
Sure, guy.
They cover games too, and you know, and they're all over the place, and they're real proactive, you know, and I feel like you guys at the Herald did a good job with football, but then as the season started to progress and we got into spring, it's like we're the forgotten child, you know.
Yep.
That's what it felt like, you know, and
Yeah.
no fault of your guys, but you know, you got all these high school football teams, and then you got all this and that, and even before the Marlins came here, it was the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing, too, is like newspapers always – here was the thing that would happen, not just at the Herald, but newspapers would dedicate resources to start the year, and it's almost like they'd blow the budget, and then by the time basketball was over, it was like, oh, crap, we don't really have any money left, and then that wasn't fair to – you know, to baseball, to softball, to the
Listen, man, how many times, Andre, were you covering, you know, 2 and 3 games a day, or you and I were driving all over the place to try to beat 2 and 3 different people, right? To provide coverage for the high schools. It was crazy.
I'd get to games, you know, like I'd cover a game in full, and then maybe I would do like a rig where I'd go and try to get to a game by the 6th inning, catch up and figure out what happened. So at least we would get something in the paper about that team or about those teams. I mean, you know, just so that way it doesn't. I figured those kids are at least want to see 3 paragraphs on their game than nothing at all the next day. So let me at least try to get that. But that was
absolutely
and trying to get something.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was going to mention now with everybody having to use Game Changer, all the, you know, HSBN is tied into that, so all the stats are imported automatically. So you know, it just becomes cyclical and all that, it gets updated. So definitely, man, HSBN has done a great job with high school baseball, and we're thankful because it makes our job a whole lot easier, that we don't have to be calling in stats every Sunday. Hey, Perico Perez, 3 for 5. You know, that's how it used to be. You remember that Sundays?
I used to take. We took those phone calls from you, Ernie. We remember.
Hey, and it wasn't just baseball coaches; it was everybody else también. Hey, I want my stats in. You know, basketball.
Every Sunday from 10 to 2, you would have to call that 376-2000 number and dial 2 if you want to report sports.
Listen, you're talking to the 2 guys who would go in there on Sundays and take those phone calls at different times, bro. It was a ton of work.
If I got in at 10:02, that thing was lighting up like a Christmas tree already, and I was like,
So now they don't even do that, and it's like high school baseball has taken a back seat according to the Miami Herald, But hey, whatever. We got HSPN and we're loving it, to be honest with you. Question, guys. I guess we don't want to do that. Okay, because I was gonna say, all right, who was your favorite coach to cover? Because you knew that you were gonna go there, and it was gonna be definitely
that's you, bro.
Nah. I was easy.
Ernie, you took care of us, man. Like, we'd get there, they'd bring us a hot dog and a soda up into the press box. It was like the one coach who was happy to see us was Ernie.
I only dreaded one phone call annually from Ernie, and that was when the all-county team came out. That was it.
Dre, what are you doing? How come so-and-so didn't get on? Right. What are you doing?
That was it. That one call. That was it. The other 364 days a year, it was great.
Hey, listen, you can't blame me for fighting for my guys.
Oh, no, absolutely. I know. I would always get 20 phone calls or 10 different emails or something. I expected it. That day was the day that it was like, here we go. It's like you hit the button and.
Sorry, Dre. I'm sorry. So a few years back, we're watching my daughter's favorite players, Christian Yelich, and a buddy, one of my ex-players that works for the Marlins, kind of hooked us up with BP, and we're out there watching BP, and to our chagrin, Christian Yelich doesn't hit BP that day.
Oh,
so
wow.
Dre's walking around and goes, "Hey, Dre, what are you doing?" He goes, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "Oh, watching BP. What are you doing?" And we started talking. And Dre's always been like you, man. He always, serviceable and always willing to help. Because my daughter's gonna graduate right now from FIU in a degree in journalism with a minor in social media marketing. And Dre says, "Man, whatever you need, man." So I appreciate you guys for always helping everybody out, not just myself, but definitely. I know you guys do this as a labor of love, because I know it's not the money. It's okay, but it's not, because you guys are underpaid with all the stuff that you do, just like us coaches,
Yeah. It's this is all about love, man. It really is. And fortunately, I've still got a job. This industry is really started to fall apart. People have been laid off because of what's been going on with COVID and them trying to save money, because advertisers are saving their money. So it's a dangerous time for journalists right now. But being able to feed my family, I'm grateful for that. Doing this because when I was playing baseball at Braddock and trying to become a baseball player, the last thing I expected was that I'd be paying my family by writing about baseball players and writing stories. I thought I would be in the major leagues one day. I always had that dream of pitching and playing third base, and it obviously wasn't meant to be, like so many other people. Like you sport, you love it, but you just never get to that level. But for your daughter and other people, this is a career. You can make a career out of this. I've made a career 25 years now doing this. I started when I was 17 at the Miami Herald. I'm 42 now. And Andre's been a great friend of mine. He was young when he started as well. I wish her the best of luck, man. I think the one advice I would give her, and I don't know that you asked me for any advice, but I'll give it anyway. The one advice I would give her is work on as many platforms as possible. Okay. Don't just be somebody who writes. Don't just be somebody who does TV. Don't just be somebody who does podcasts and radio. You got to be all three now. And you really got to be good at social media and showing people where they can get your work, because nobody else is going to advertise you. You have to advertise yourself. You have to sell yourself. And, if you're talented, people will find you, they will hire you, and they'll put you to work.
Yeah, she's real versatile. She's a hustler, so she's definitely, and loves baseball, obviously. But, she was 4 years old running around with us and going to the state championship and just loving baseball. While my younger one, she goes, "Daddy, did you guys win? Game's over. We won a state championship." And goes, "Did you guys win?" Wow, but they're just different personalities. But definitely. Rich, any other questions, buddy?
Oh man, just like to thank the guys for coming on and spending this hour with us, man. It was fun. It was great to hear you guys' perspective, and love to follow back up with you guys to maybe talk to some students when the school year starts. Maybe even if it's via Zoom, just so we can push that journalism angle.
Absolutely, I'm game, man. You tell me when, I'll be there.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah,
these two guys, I know that when they say that, they mean it, because these two guys, I've given them beatings, and at the same time, they've we've always remained a good friendship, man. So Dre and Manny, I appreciate you guys coming on, man, and definitely love the work that you guys have done with high school baseball. And I know, Manny, you're still with the Athletic.
Yep, theathletic.com. Yep.
And Dre, what's your situation?
I unfortunately was a layoff casualty recently, but Manny and I, speaking of labor of love, like Manny and I, Walter Villa, started up our own podcast now.
Nice.
With talking about local sports. It's called Front Page 305. It's a little bit of comedy, a little bit of talking about the local teams, and trying to make it fun and entertaining, and something a little offbeat that'll be a little informative also.
Yeah, we talk a little bit about our history with sports writers and funny moments and locker rooms and places we've been, and people we've covered. So it's an insight into that life.
Now to get in there, you have to become a podcast member. Is there like a membership?
No, not at all. I mean, you can look us up on Spotify. Just look up Front Page 305, or you can follow us on Twitter. Twitter is Que Pasa 305. That's a Twitter account.
Que Pasa 305. I love it.
Yeah, Que Pasa 305, because the front page was taken. I said, oh God, I gotta come up with something else. Que Pasa 305 was my next choice, and so that's our Twitter account, and we tweet out our episodes there, and people can download it anywhere. It's on a lot of different platforms.
Awesome. So you're gonna have a follower. I'm gonna follow you guys because I appreciate
it,
you guys.
Appreciate it.
And fun fact: Walter Villa's two nephews happen to play for me.
Yeah,
Christians.
I'm constantly reminded of Kevin Villa in The Wall, being the exploits of the great catcher Kevin Villa.
Yeah,
and Vámonos a Tampa. That was
that is the grandfather.
That is the grandfather. Tampa. That was his slogan.
Yeah, and to talk about that, now Brian, the older brother's a psychiatrist, and the middle brother, Kevin, is he got his master's degree in space something. He works for NASA. So he's got to be smart. So
I know he went to Florida Tech. So yeah, I figured
he did. He did go to Florida Tech, got his undergrad, and then went to I don't know, Central Florida. I know he works for NASA. You got to be smart to work for NASA.
Yeah.
So definitely those are, like I said, those stories that we talked about, players that end up being successful in life, and that's more important than being successful in baseball. But guys, thank you again for coming on. Appreciate you guys, man, and. Hopefully we'll have you on, and or you can have us on in Que Pasa 305. That would be fun, right, Rich?
Sure, man.
Yeah, that'll be a blast.
We'll bring you guys on. We'll bring you guys on to talk some high school baseball. Hopefully we get the season going again.
Definitely,
this coming year, man.
Definitely, man.
For sure.
Well, guys, thanks again. Good night, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks for having us, man. Take care.
Ernie, that was fun, man. I didn't really know what to expect when you told me the guests that were coming on, but that was a lot of fun, man. These guys have a plethora of information and just a wealth of experiences.
No, I think those guys, when I approach them, and it goes, yeah, of course, man. And I know that they have the type of personality and all the material that they had and all the baseball that they saw. It'll be an interesting show, And then with Eric Rico, the homegrown boy here, and the concept that he came up, man. And it's always good to kind of showcase guys that are doing things that are productive things, So definitely, man, had fun, man, and can't wait to keep putting guests that are informative, that are fun to talk to, and definitely a pleasure to deal with.
Absolutely. Like to get some high school coaches on here soon.
We got to do that, man. Some of them have, how it is. We ask them, but it's always hit or miss, and we definitely got to do that. We got to do that. But, man, hey, next week we'll have another good one, man. Take care of yourself, Rich, and we'll see you soon.
You too, brother. Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.